Hello everyone. Very good afternoon to all of you who's watching me live. We'll be analyzing SET 2023 second slot, which was conducted today. So before we start with this analysis, let me just take you through the SET 1 analysis, a quick recap of that. As I have said in SET 1 analysis, that it was clearly written in the instruction that uh, Symbiosis would try to replicate all the slots on the similar line so that there is very thin or very less margin of error when it comes to giving the ranks, and they were not going to rationalize the scores. More to not to majority of the for majority of the question, I would say that that was true. Probably can say that 90-95% of the paper in on slot 2 was similar to that we have experienced in slot 1, barring one or two instances where uh, we felt that probably could have been avoided, but no one can we know that no one can actually replicate the exact paper, right? So we have to give that benefit of doubt to the paper setter. Okay. So let's move on to that. Okay, let's move on to the with the analysis of today's paper. Okay, so yeah. The paper pattern, as we know, it had 60 questions, like 16 in English, 16 in quantitative aptitude, 16 in general awareness, and 12 in analytical and logical reasoning. It was a 60-minute paper, no sectional time limit. You can switch from one section to another, and there was the marking scheme was +1 for every correct, and there was no negative marking. So standard paper pattern. This has been from last so many years. uh, no hiccup in terms of student experience or user interface. There were four different sections, so that made it very clear for the student to distinguish among the section. No section time limit, as we discussed. No on-screen calculator, right? Now let's move on to the general English section. uh, so it had one question on poem, as we had last in the slot one section. There were two questions, one on proverb and idioms each. Figure of speech, again, last time, slot one they had asked simile and metaphor. This time also they've asked simile and metaphor. So I would say, again, ditto same. There were around seven grammar questions last time also. Slot one there were seven grammar questions, four vocabulary questions. So overall, if you look at the breakup of the paper, okay, the breakup of the paper was same as it was in the slot one. Okay, it was ditto same. There was no difference, except for two or three questions in slot two. The options were very straightforward. It was very easy to eliminate. Okay. However, having said that, it doesn't mean that in the slot one it was very difficult. But then for example, the question asked was on preposition, and out of the four options, there was only one preposition given. The question on conjunction, out of four options, there was only one conjunction given. So it hardly take student don't even have to think twice before marking the question. But otherwise, the level of difficulty was same. If the one who have appeared for slot one and were prepared for the proverb, idioms, and poem and figure of speech type of question, probably for them this section was a easy one. I have kept it moderate, assuming let's say a student would have appeared for the first time probably and was not prepared. So have not appeared for slot one, then the section would have gone moderate. Otherwise, this section was very easy, straightforward. Genuine attempt I have increased to 13 as compared to what we had in the slot once. Like I've increased by 1 mark here. So genuine good attempt should have been 13 here, and probably could have been attempted all the 16 question. I mean, gone through all, read through all 16 question in 12 minutes, and the section could have been taken care of. So very easy section, scoring section, I would say, less time consuming. Let's move on to the next section, that is quantitative. Now, in this section, last time there were six arithmetic questions. This time there were five arithmetic questions, one less arithmetic question, and some of the students also, came up and said that, percentages, there was question based on percentage, there was question based on profit and loss. Those two questions were slightly lengthy. It was time consuming. Okay. They were not difficult, but it was slightly time consuming. There was one question on time, speed, and distance where you have to find the length of the train. That was very straightforward, very easy question. Okay. Then there was one question on time and work. Again, you need to frame an equation, like what we had in the slot one. It was ditto same. So, all those five questions, you can say it was easy question. Probably two questions were lengthy, so easy or easy to moderate, you can say. Then there were five modern math questions. One based on logarithm, very very straightforward. As the same concept was used in the slot one as the first basic definition of logarithm. So it was ditto same. Okay. Then there were three questions. Two on probability and one on permutation combination. Then one on arithmetic progression, very easy series, some of the numbers that you were supposed to find. So this was the breakup of modern math question. Then there were two geometry questions, of which one was based on the finding number of tiles, right? So tiles based question, the dimension of the floor were given and dimension of the tiles were given. How many tiles you need to floor the for the you will require for the flooring. So it was very straightforward question. And then there was one question based on triangles. The right angle triangle properties were supposed to be used, and you could have just walked through. Two algebra based question, both based, there was no surds and indices, there was no quadratic, both were based on equation, probably you can say that. And some of the students came up and they said that they found one of the question to be slightly not misleading but ambiguous, because the question was asking for the value of x and all the option had value of y, and not one or two but three four students came up and said I assume that the question was right. Maybe the student would have made some error in reading it, but then yes, there were handful of students who said that there was some couple of ambiguous question in quantitative section. So going forward, there was one question on numbers that was straightforward, easy one, and there was one DI, as in the slot one, very easy, moderate. There was too much of data given, but then the question which was asked was based on the straight concept, was based on the very just have to look at two data and compare it, and that was it, right? Overall, the section was easy to moderate because there was five question on modern maths, log and permutation, combination, probability, and a few arithmetic questions being lengthy. That's why considering the SET standard, it is moderate. Otherwise, the section was easy. If someone who had prepared for the other exams, for considering an SET standard, it was easy to moderate. Genuine attempt, I would like to keep it at 11, like what I had kept last time. No change there. 25 minutes. I'm sure 25 minutes, around 11, 12 question would have been easily manageable. More than 2 minutes, in fact, I'm giving you more than 2 minutes for that. So it was, should have been uh, attempted 11, 12, or maybe if you're good at math, 13, 14. I mean, it was doable. There was no ambiguous question, barring one odd question. Okay, so let's move on to the general awareness section. Now this section was slightly difficult as compared to the slot one. Okay, last in slot one there were 11 static GK questions, and there were 5 current affairs. This time there were 10 static GK questions and 6 current affairs. Now the questions here were based on they had asked who was the youngest prime minister, then the first vice chancellor, then the question on the president of Brazil, question on G20 summit. Then there was question on a national park. One question was based on the species of cheetah, right? So then there were 2 questions on awards. Uh, this question, the static GK part was slightly difficult as compared to the slot one. And I mean, GK is slightly subjective. Like you know the answer, for majority of the question it becomes easy for you, right? But however, it was not a stark difference between the two sections. So last time also we have kept it moderate to difficult. Genuine good attempt in the slot one, we had said it was 9 plus. I have decreased it by 1. making it 8 plus, because there were some, the G20 question based on G20, then question based on the Prime Minister of Brazil was an easy one. Okay. The youngest Vice Chancellor was an easy one. Then the National Park, that was an easy one. So there were some 4 or 5 questions which was very that but which were easy, expecting student to know. Okay. And again, like in the last slot one analysis I mentioned, there were some around 8 9 questions which came straight away from our SET IMS SET mock or the GK compendium for SET that we have uploaded. Here again, student came up and said that then there were, not 8 or 9 questions, but there were some around 6 7 questions that they could easily found that, it was there from the IMS material. So yeah, so 6 7 was easily manageable, and considering being a GK, it was expected that you know something apart from what you have read from the GK compendium, right? So if you go and attempt those 6 7 correct and plus 1 or 2, so that gives you 8 plus good attempt. Yeah, so that's it. And it should not take more than 8 minutes to solve the section 16 question, 30 seconds for question. Even if you spend 30 seconds, that's 8 minutes, right? If you look at the overall analytical and then the logical reasoning, this time there were couple of more logical reasoning question as compared to the last time. I mean, there was some last time 4 or 5 verbal reasoning question. This time there was 6 verbal reasoning question. Last time there was 2 coding and decoding. There was only 1 coding and decoding. Last time I remember there was one question which was very ambiguous. You did not have a straightforward code for that particular word. You had to eliminate the option. It was not this time as such. One question on clock and calendar, one on number series. Last time we had alphabet series, this time it was number series, one on blood relation and one on linear arrangement. So otherwise, more or less, the paper remains the same. The verbal weightage increased by 1 or 2 word question, and coding decoding decreased by 1 question. Otherwise, this section was at par with the slot one. So easy to moderate section, 9 plus good attempt out of 12, and uh, ideal time could have been around 15 odd minutes in this particular section. Now, overall, it was easy to moderate. As I said in the beginning, that 90 to 95% of the paper was more or less on the similar line. Okay, so it was easy to moderate. Good attempt would be anything 45 plus, and good score would be 42 plus. Okay, that is what our expectation is. As we all know that Symbiosis is not going to rationalize the score. So we have just came up with the comparison of slot one and slot two. So if you look at the slot one and slot two, uh, I would say that 1 marks more probably student can score in general English here, because I mean, if student has prepared for slot one, like and so it becomes easy, you get familiar with. And because in 2 3 questions the options were very straightforward, you could have eliminated maybe that, giving that one bonus mark there in English. Quant, because the weighted of modern maths went up. Probably you can say that 1 odd marks less there, and GK you can say 1 odd mark less there. And analytical reasoning was more or less same. So overall, maybe slot two, it's hardly any difference. Maybe at max 1 mark, not much difference. I would like to say that Symbiosis did a very good job in keeping the level of difficulty of the paper at par. So 1 marks here and there is I mean is accepted. So that's that. Now we move to the next stage. SAT score has a 50% weightage, and a PI VAT score has a 50% weightage. So I would recommend student to start preparing for a PI and VAT from now, so that you don't have to rush up, you don't have to hurry at the end, because Symbiosis will give you hardly 1 week's time to, they declare the result, and within 1 week you have your PI VAT session. Okay, what you guys can do is go to the resources section in the IMS portal and go through the PI and the VAT resources available. Okay, and get in touch with your mentors, right? Ask them to give you the VAT topic and start preparing for that. Start preparing for the basic personal question that could be asked in a personal interview. At least keep yourself ready, 60 70%, keep yourself ready, so that in the end you just have to fine tune your answers and your answers. So that will be done with the help of the expert mentor that we have at IMS. So That's it from my end. Thank you so much and all the best for the results.